Hello, everyone. This is Kurt. Before we start the show, if you're enjoying it, we would so greatly appreciate you giving us a review wherever you're finding this podcast, liking the show, following us on Instagram. Our handle is @PTMoviePod. And most importantly, telling your friends. If you have people in your life who you think might like this, we would greatly appreciate spreading the good word. All right, here we go. Hello and welcome to Physical Therapy, a movie podcast inspired by the world of physical media and beyond. My name is Kurt.
My name is Sam.
Today we're going to be talking about Arrow Video's new 4K release of Alex Proyas' sci-fi cult classic Dark City from 1998, recently released by Arrow Video in a limited edition super box.
And recently out of print as well, actually. This is sold out. So if you don't have it already, I'm assuming Arrow will put out a standard edition as they have with other big boxes. But this went quick. I think Orbit said it was their fastest selling Arrow 4K title of all time.
Oh, wow.
It went real fast.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be other versions of it from them. Speaking of Arrow, Sam, we got some announcements since last we spoke from Arrow Video.
Again, a couple titles that we saw in their teaser video from a couple months ago.
We talked a little bit offline about it, Sam. I don't think there was anything either of us were too excited about. It included Creepshow 2, which you said is just okay.
It's fine. You know, I have the blue of it and I'm perfectly fine with keeping it as that.
There's a UK release of American Gigolo that came out already in the US from them last year. The one that I might be circling, Sam, is a little movie called Lost in Space.
Oh, man. Lost in Space sucks.
Does it suck?
Without a doubt, it sucks.
I saw this movie. What year is this movie?
1998, I'm pretty sure.
I think I saw it for my 11th birthday.
Hell yeah, dude.
Is Gary Oldman in it?
Yes. Gary Oldman, William Hurt.
Oh, shit.
Matthew LeBlanc.
Yeah. Sigourney Weaver?
No, I think you're thinking of Galaxy Quest.
Oh, shit. What's up with Lost in Space? What's up with Galaxy Quest?
Galaxy Quest, I think, without a doubt, rules, other than Tim Allen.
I'm pretty sure I did not see Lost in Space for my birthday.
Galaxy Quest is like a farce.
Is Lost in Space not a farce? I know it's like a 1960s TV show.
Yeah,
right?
But it's like very serious.
Well, I'm sold, Sam. What else was there? There was some horror stuff. A movie called The Woods.
Yeah, I remember seeing this back in like 2006 when it came out, renting it from a Blockbuster, but I couldn't tell you anything about it, nor do I think I'll be picking it up.
What about Hellbender or Deadstream?
So Hellbender is kind of like a newer independent folk horror release, I think, that's supposed to be pretty good. People really respond to it. I don't really know much of anything about it, so I don't know if I'm going to pick it up, maybe during a sale at some time. And Deadstream is a found footage horror movie that people like, but that has never really been my subgenre.
Right on.
Two that I would highlight are Kino announced, there's no date for it, unfortunately, but they did announce that they are going to be dropping Throw Mama from the Train on 4K.
Have you seen this? I've never seen this.
It is so funny and so good.
Awesome. Danny DeVito directed it, right?
Mm-hmm. And it's a comedic retelling of Hitchcock's Strangers on a Train.
Oh, wow.
My mom showed us this movie when we were kids, and it's great. I mean, I hope it holds up, but I loved this movie when I was young.
Awesome. Sign me up.
Another one, currently it's just a UK release from Vertigo releasing Dangerous Animals, which came out earlier this year, that I thought was pretty cool.
This is a movie about a serial killer who feeds people to sharks?
Pretty much, yeah. It's Jai Courtney, who I have talked an absurd amount of shit about. He's actually really good in this movie.
Cool. Okay.
It's the first time that I actually really liked him. An Australian movie, pretty wild, pretty gnarly at times. It's like 90 minutes. It's a pretty good 90-minute horror thriller.
How's the effects?
For the most part, great. They do a really good job of cutting around the stuff that they don't have money for.
Okay, cool.
I thought it was pretty good.
Sam, what's up with a movie called Hackers, starring Angelina Jolie and Matthew Lillard?
Yeah, I've never seen it. I don't have a relationship with this movie, but people love it.
88 Films did a 4K of that, or it's coming out in September.
Mm-hmm. Man, I have a pre-order for this movie called The Cat from 88 Films.
Okay.
I don't know anything about this movie other than a cat cat and a like junkyard dog get in a fight. But the way that it's cut and edited, you're like seeing cat arms and paws like fly across the screen to like punch this dog in the face.
That's what the whole movie's about?
No, man, it's just one scene of this movie, but sign me up. A guy at a bar told me to watch it one time, and then like 2 days later they put it out. So there you go.
Umbrella is doing another shark movie called The Reef from 2010. Have you seen this?
I have not. Is this the one with Stallone's daughter?
I don't know.
No, that's like Open Water 2 or something like that.
I think that's pretty much it since the last time we talked of things that I recognized or felt excited about.
Another big one that people really like, and I've seen, but I haven't seen it in years, is But I'm a Cheerleader.
Oh, yeah.
Which Lionsgate is putting out, but it seems to be an Amazon exclusive 4K. So if you are interested in that movie, it seems like you are only going to be able to get that on Amazon.com.
Is that a comedy?
Yeah, it's like a coming of age comedy.
Cool.
It's funny.
Nice. I also want to mention Sony is doing a standalone 4K of Sense and Sensibility, which is in the maybe second or third of the Columbia Classics set, which is an excellent movie with Emma Thompson, Alan Rickman, Kate Winslet, and Hugh Grant, directed by Ang Lee, and looks so good on 4K. You know, I wish they'd do more of those over time. I wish they'd hurry up a little bit, releasing some of the ones from their Columbia Classic set so people don't have to buy the whole thing, or some of those have gone out of print.
I find it a bit frustrating at how long they wait to release those titles.
Yeah. Sam, as we move into confessions, it is perhaps the most dangerous time of the year. It is the Criterion sale at Barnes & Noble, the first of the year.
It's not even just a Criterion sale. There's a Kino sale going on their website. There's a Criterion sale happening at Barnes & Noble. There's something else happening somewhere else. You know, I mean, there's discs on sale left and right. I've taken this month off, which I've felt good about, kind of. But then about 4 to 5 titles I really want are now either out of print or sold out. And so I'm like scrambling to find stuff, but I have still not purchased one movie in this month. I did get some boxes in the mail, though.
What'd you get?
I posted a picture of it on our Instagram, but my big old Vinegar Syndrome order came through, you know, so just let me know when we're doing Jade. I'm there for it.
It's supposed to be good. The disc is supposed to be really good.
I also got this John Cassavetes starring movie called Incubus. I know nothing about it other than the cover is like a woman screaming with her face melting off. That seemed like something I needed to own.
That tracks.
Strangers with Candy came the other day, the movie from Shout Select. I got a nice package from Diabolic, including an Italian movie called Killer Cop. This 80s slasher. Have you ever seen this movie, Tourist Trap?
No.
I've seen it once and I don't really remember it, but I had it on at work not too long ago and it was like creepy as hell. So I turned it off wanting to just sit down and revisit the whole thing. That's from Full Moon, Mad Foxes from Cauldron, and then I got the big box Nice Guys from Second Sight.
Oh, cool.
So I've had a lot of fun titles show up in my interim of buying stuff, which is cool. Still feels like I'm part of the game. But yeah, my trigger finger's getting itchy. What have you picked up recently?
I'm trying to behave myself in general, and especially at the Criterion sale. I went and got Sorcerer.
Hell yeah.
Which I couldn't resist. While I was there, I also got Umbrellas of Cherbourg and Honora.
Are you allowing yourself to make other trips there?
I'm going to go one more time, and it's for two titles that aren't out yet, which are Kenneth Lonergan's You Can Count on Me.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Comes out at the end of the month, and The Big Heat, which comes out soon.
What's The Big Heat again?
It's Fritz Lang. It's a noir.
I don't think I've ever seen that one.
It's so good. We have that poster of it in our living room.
Yeah, that's why I know it.
It's a great noir. It's got some gnarly stuff in it, you know, for the time. Some like shocking violence and just real dark and gritty. It's cool.
I made a list of 5 titles for the Criterion sale, and I'm limiting myself to 5 titles.
What are they?
Sorcerer, Punch Drunk Love, Eastern Condors, Godzilla versus
Biolante.
And then I have, you know, one open spot that has about 6 different
candidates
possibilities to go in there.
I might get Brazil too, if we're being honest.
Okay. And that's one thing that we do on this show. We are honest about our psychotic nature of buying movies.
I also might get Night Moves.
So that's why I texted you about Night Moves the other day.
And Barry Lyndon. Fuck.
It's the worst and best time of the year.
So excited for Sorcerer. So excited. When they handed me that, I was thrilled. The poor person working at Barnes & Noble, the one I went to, I've gone to a couple, I've got maybe 4 that I will look through their, inventory online if I'm looking for something that I'll go to. And one of them forever has had the stock on the floor where you can browse and pick it up and whatever. And they'll keep box sets and stuff behind the counter.
Sure. That's how mine is.
There's another one that has the stock behind the counter, but it's a much smaller selection. So I never really expect that experience at that particular Barnes & Noble. But the one I usually go to, they had some of the stock, like the Blu-rays on the floor, but those were now packaged, or like they had like plastic protectors around them, which is fine, but you can't really see if there's any damage as easily in that thing without having to ask somebody to open it up. But all of the 4Ks are behind the counter, and that's such a different experience of browsing.
Less fun.
Yeah, it's way less fun. This poor person working the counter, I went in, I was out for a meeting like really early, and I was there when they opened the day the sale started. I was like the first and only person in there for that reason. And she was like, "Oh, you're the first Criterion person." I was like, "Yep, I'm a freak.
Check out my podcast."
Yeah, check out my podcast. And I finished checking out, and then I said, like, "I'm sorry, you have to," because I gave her like a list, and she had like one by one go find these 3 movies and then tell me that Barry Lyndon wasn't out yet. And I was like, "Man, I'm sorry that you have to do that. It's like probably going to be so annoying." And she just looked at me with like a long exhale and was like, "Yeah, I guess it was like that last time." She was like, "Yeah, last year was really hard."
Oh no.
I was like, on behalf of my entire freak community, I'm sorry.
It's also a long sale. I mean, this sale goes on for a month, like this poor person.
I texted you. It did make it a little less dangerous though.
Sure.
Part of the problem with the Criterion sale is you go in for 1 or 3 things or whatever, and then you're flipping through. And we've talked about it on this podcast many times, but the way that they design their packages and the write-ups and stuff on the back, it's just, they're experts at making you feel like you need to buy every single one.
I mean, truly, like the reason I made a list is the format I'm looking out for. And so I can walk in, grab these 5 titles and bounce.
I feel great about my choices, though. I'm sad that Umbrellas of Cherbourg doesn't have HDR, but it was supervised by Jacques Demy's son.
Oh, okay.
I imagine maybe that's why. It was just, a choice, a creative choice.
Sure.
And in Nora, I think I missed the first 5 minutes of. I don't think I've seen the first 5 minutes of Nora. We walked in kind of late in the theater.
Got it.
So I'm really excited to see that again.
Hell yeah. Yeah, that's one of the possible candidates as well.
And then like you, Sam, I had a couple shipments come from previous pre-orders.
Oh, fun. What'd you get?
I got Companion, the Jack Quaid, Sophie Thatcher kind of sci-fi horror dark comedy, I guess, from earlier this year.
Yeah, I'm trying to pick that up.
It's great. I really like that movie.
That's just a studio release?
Yeah, Warner Brothers put that out.
Okay.
And then I got a Powerhouse Indicator 4K of Carnal Knowledge, the Mike Nichols, Jack Nicholson, Art Garfunkel kind of coming-of-age sex comedy that Criterion just put out, or is putting out this month too. I've said it before, like I kind of prefer if another company is doing the same thing as a Criterion. I will sometimes get the import version just because I like the packaging better. And sometimes I've found that they have better quality discs. But this one's beautiful, and I was really excited to get that. I haven't seen it since college, but I'm sure it's going to be a really nice movie to revisit.
I've never seen this, honestly. You should let me know what you think of it after you see it, because I might pick up that Criterion down the line.
For sure. And then another one was Bring Me the Head of Alfredo Garcia, the Peckinpah movie that Shout Select just did in 4K.
Yeah.
We were talking about this off mic, but
I don't understand this.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it. This is like first pressing, and no slip sleeve from them. And that's been the case with a few of Shout's movies that we discovered. I don't think Midnight Run ever had one, and then I know that Death to Smoochie never had one.
However, I just opened up Strangers with Candy last night from Shout, the Shout Select brand, first pressing again, and this did have a slip sleeve.
Can't rely on anything, Sam.
If somebody over at Shout has any information on this, please let us know.
I emailed Orbit and I said, were there ever slip sleeves on these Garcias? And they said they didn't think so.
I emailed Kino Now that we're doing confessions, I emailed
Yeah,
Kino.
who have you annoyed this week is probably a subcategory of confessions.
I emailed Kino to ask. I was like, hey, I see that you guys have a sale going on and I'm very interested in it. Is the Uncle Buck 4K still shipping with a slip sleeve? And they got back to me this morning and they said, no, you fucking loser.
Wow. Brutal, dude. You missed the slip.
I know.
How significant is this sale? Is it half off?
There's like certain titles that are just up there for, $9.99, $15. It's just a summer sale.
Okay.
They do these kind of throughout the year a handful of times.
Well, Sam, I'm going to go to a me before you and I'm going to look.
Yeah, let me know. I have one ace in the hole on a place that might have one.
Before we get into Dark City, Samuel, is there anything you've watched since last we spoke that you wanted to highlight?
I got my Strangers with Candy 4K, Blu-ray, and immediately just threw it on and watched it last night. So that was cool. One less thing in a shame pile somewhere.
Isn't it a miracle when you get something and you just watch it right away? Doesn't it just feel like you're sort of normal?
It feels so good, which is, I guess, why I don't do it all the time. But I also, just from a stream, because it's not available on any type of physical media, but I watched that Predator Killer of Killers animated movie.
Yeah, I was just talking to somebody about this last night. Tell me about it.
Interesting animation style. It's a little crude in some scenes, but I actually really enjoyed watching it. It is 3 separate tales based around people who have fought predators. I thought it was cool. I think some of the action set pieces were awesome. It was a cool way to incorporate more predator stories, which I've always wanted, into that franchise. I also get the idea that we might see some of these characters realized in real life predator movies.
Okay. Is it on Hulu?
Yeah.
Cool.
So if people have access to that and they're looking for something to kill an hour and a half, I would recommend that. What about you? Have you watched anything?
As I love to do, I went back to the 90s and I watched the 4K of Steven Spielberg's The Lost World Jurassic Park. Movie I had not properly sat down with in a long, long time. Here's the thing, Sam.
Yes.
Is this movie great? No. Is it highly entertaining? Yes. Does it look fantastic? Yes. Does it have great set pieces? Yes. Does it have
a 12-year-old gymnastics fighting a velociraptor? Yes.
Yes, it does. An incredible disc. This movie is I think it can't be the first Janusz Kaminski Spielberg, but it's one of them. So it looks a lot different than the original Jurassic Park. The lighting is a lot different, the Dean Cundey original, and it looks excellent. There's a fair amount of CGI dinosaurs that don't look great anymore, but still plenty of animatronics, and the sequence where the van goes over the cliff is just incredible.
Julianne Moore, right?
Yeah, and Vince Vaughn.
Hell yeah.
And Pete Postlewaite and Peter Stormare. It's great. Great cast. I've largely fully abandoned the franchise. I did not like Jurassic World, and then I never saw the 2 that followed that. But
did you see Jurassic Park 3?
Of course. Circling that 4K, you better believe it. Is there still a slip sleeve on JP3? Somebody tell me. But I hear tell that this new one's pretty fun. So I decided I was going to see the new one, and then I pulled out my 4K of The Lost World.
Yeah, I'm not excited about this new one, but I'm seeing it for some reason.
Yeah, I'm willing to try it. And then just the highlight of my week, Sam, was hanging out with my friend Ben. We threw on a 4K that might be the best 4K I've seen in months.
I'm pretty sure I know what you're about to say, and I just do not think I can get there.
A little movie called Space Jam.
Get the fuck out of here, dude.
Starring Michael Jordan, Sam, and Bugs Bunny.
And Bill Murray.
It's just an amazing movie. So fun, so quick, so easy, so nostalgic, and a banger on 4K. Just incredible animation. They look so great. And all the film stuff, too. It's clean and bright and beautiful. And I had a blast.
One of the greatest CD soundtracks of all time.
Oh, yeah. So that was my week.
Hell yeah. That's a great week. Very nostalgic week.
Okay, Sam. Dark City.
Actually,
hit me.
One point of order before we start.
Okay.
We just released a Roadhouse episode, and we did not mention Dean Cundey once on that podcast.
Oh, shit.
Who is the cinematographer Kurt was just talking about.
Jurassic Park.
Who shot Jurassic Park and a bunch of early John Carpenter movies like My Beloved The Fog. He also shot Roadhouse. And it is one of the reasons why Roadhouse is still the most fun, one of the best 80s action movies of all time. The movie looks incredible.
It's so good. I had so much fun watching and talking about that.
Without a doubt. So this is just a mad shout out for our good friend Dean Cundy.
All right, Sam. Dark City. I'm going to jump right off and say that this is one of Kim's favorite movies.
No fucking way, really?
She's very sad she can't be here for this conversation.
Wow. I had no idea. Had you seen this?
I saw this, yes, I think in college and maybe once after. I had the Blu-ray. Do you know if that original Blu-ray was the director's cut?
I have no idea, dude. Honestly, I had seen this movie once, and it was a burned DVD that I watched. I just remember it looking muddy as hell and me not being able to, like, see anything.
Okay. I am confirming that the Blu-ray that came out in 2008 was indeed the director's cut. So I think that I had seen, we watched the director's cut for this episode, you and I.
Yes.
And I guess that is the one that I'd seen.
This is also like a Blade Runner situation where the director's cut is the accepted version rather than the theatrical. And much like Blade Runner, the theatrical cut of this movie starts off with a really bad voiceover that kind of explains things in a poor way, ultimately.
Yeah, there's a great bit on the behind the scenes. Rufus Sewell is the lead actor of this film, and he describes the process that the studio went through of basically forcing Alex Proyas to include this voiceover. They put it in because the people in certain audience test screenings were reporting to be confused. And he said that the people who were confused were still confused, even after the voiceover came in. And the people who liked the movie before liked it less.
Yeah, you also watched that Return to Dark City documentary on the disc?
Yes.
Me too.
I honestly remembered kind of not getting this movie and knowing that it had a real big cult following, but not really being a fan, you know? I had nothing against it. It was like a little too dark and hard to get into for whatever reason, my memory of it. But man, this movie is fucking like A+.
Oh, wow. You loved it that much.
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah. I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I don't think I came out of that being like, that's an A+, but I very much enjoyed my time with it.
Visually, it's just such a masterpiece. Let's talk about, the plot a little bit.
Sure. I just want to highlight something really right before we get into the plot. I also remember thinking it was so dark and thinking it was just like, it just looked like crud and just, like I said earlier, muddy and just blown out. This 4K is phenomenal looking. The grain is great, but just being able to see all the little details that they build into this city, which was built on sets in an industrial part of Australia, it's really interesting and it looks incredible. That really is what drew my eye the second I turned it on.
Yeah, it's Dariusz Wolski as the DP who's shot the majority of Ridley Scott's movies of late. He did Pirates of the Caribbean, the original. He did Crimson Tide, just a legend. The lighting is just amazing in this. It essentially takes place in a very dark city, a very German Expressionism inspired world. It looks a lot like Metropolis, if you are familiar with that classic silent film.
It also looks a lot like Gotham City from the Batman the Animated Series. And like that show, it's also timeless. The movie takes place in this unnamed city in an unnamed time that is filled with German Expressionism, neo-noir, tech-noir, steampunk imagery. You're just immediately kind of drawn in and slightly confused because it seems to be the 50s and the future at the exact same time.
Yeah, exactly. The Batman animated series is a great call. It shares both those inspirations of noir and Expressionism like that. We mentioned that Rufus Sewell is the lead character who is named John Murdoch, and we meet him as he wakes up in a bathtub in a hotel room, having no idea how he got there, having no idea who he is really.
Completely disheveled.
No memory, and there's a dead sex worker on his bedroom floor who has been killed in a way that has like ritualistic knife wounds.
Yeah, she's got like spirals kind of carved into her torso.
And he gets a phone call from Kiefer Sutherland, who's playing a doctor, who tells him that he can help him and that he's been part of an experiment that's gone wrong and his memory's been destroyed and that he's going to be having to run from people who are called strangers.
Basically, you have to wake up and get out of this hotel because there are people coming to kill you or kidnap you as we speak.
And so we see right after that, these three men who are shaved head, shaved eyebrows, like pale white skin, dressed in black kind of trench coat, flowing coats with
black fedoras,
arrive in an elevator and are approaching, his hotel room as he escapes.
The one thing that I'll say about the strangers, while creepy and interesting, they're slightly too close to the Cenobites from the Hellraiser movies. They look almost the exact same. Their teeth jitter and chatter like Cenobites do.
Okay, yeah.
They're not necessarily high priests of hell, but if somebody said that they were, you'd be like, yeah, that totally tracks. So design-wise, I was a little like, we've seen this before.
That's fair. But they're shot really well, and
yes,
they've got a great score, cues and things that make him freaky.
So yeah, John Murdoch gets away from these three and starts to try to put his life back together from the bits that he can remember. And we keep getting these, it's done so well. It's these quick flashbacks to his memories that the score is always in reverse. It sounds like a tape, like starting up in reverse the minute it cuts to him. And the way that they're shot and framed is that you can see what's happening in the middle of the frame, and then everything else is blown out around it. It's like a spotlight on one little memory, and the way that they're visually presented to us, it was my favorite part of the movie.
And they all take place at a location called Shell Beach,
which is super bright and lit and sunny and water and grass, and then it cuts back to this just dingy, wet, black, gray,
drab, sepia. Yeah. And he believes that he's from Shell Beach, and that's where his memories are from. Everyone in the town sort of knows what Shell Beach is, and there's, posters for it and billboards, and one of the train lines goes out there.
But nobody knows how to get there.
No one can remember how to get there. They're always like, oh yeah, of course I've been to Shell Beach. Me and the missus, we had our honeymoon there. And then John Murdoch will be like, how do you get there? And they'll go, oh, you just take is it the expressway? Is it Meanwhile, we meet a police inspector named Frank Bumstead, played by William Hurt.
Just the coolest dude ever.
The coolest. And just kind of a classic noir gumshoe character who is investigating a string of sex worker murders, all of which involve these sort of spiral designs on the body. So it's clearly a serial killer who, he, of course, will come to believe is John Murdoch. John Murdoch's wife is a lounge singer played by the legendary Jennifer Connelly. And she is reached out to by Kiefer Sutherland, who claims to be her husband's doctor, and basically is like, if you hear from him, I need to speak with him first. It's established that John Murdoch and his wife have not spoken in weeks because she has had an affair, and he leaves the house and then, according to his doctor, has a mental break.
Well, pretty early on, we realize that John has powers of some kind.
Yes.
He's got it's not telekinetic, because that's when you can tell somebody what to do, right?
Right. They call it tuning in the movie, but he basically can create doors where there are no doors, and he can knock people over with his thoughts, and he's got superpowers.
Yeah, he's got psi energy. He can hit people with invisible walls.
Yeah.
He's using that to combat the strangers that are chasing him, while they also have very similar powers and abilities.
And we soon see that the strangers who are living in a society underneath the city are once a day stopping the clock exactly at midnight and freezing time basically in the city, and everybody goes to sleep. And while they're asleep, the strangers are implanting memories into their brains, and they're shared memories. So it's if Sam and I fell asleep, they'd suck Sam's memories out of his head and put them in mine, and suck mine out of mine and put them in somebody else. And so everybody just has this amalgamation shared memory history that they're sort of swapping around.
But it's this weird thing too, where if Kurt took my memories, he wouldn't picture me in those memories. They'd be my memories with starring him at that point.
Yeah, you just basically wake up someone else.
Yeah.
And they're also, in this time when everyone's asleep, rebuilding and reconstructing and adding to the city, adding buildings.
Yeah, these massive turning gears and cogs that shift buildings. Think of the scene in Inception when Elliot Page creates their entire world. It's pretty much that on a much smaller scale, but I couldn't stop thinking of Inception.
Definitely. And Memento.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Spoiler alert. Long story short, we learned that these strangers are an alien race who have basically like a hive mind, and they have abducted a certain amount of people and brought them into this city, which is floating in outer space. It's not on Earth. And they are doing experiments on them and studying them in order to try to achieve a singular mind experience, a soul, if you will.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out what makes humans continue on.
Yes.
What they're all about in general.
And then it's a matter of our main characters, trying to sort of escape the confines of this like prison, both physically and mentally.
There's a little bit of a confusion that I have. Do we ever get a full reason why John has the same powers as them? Or is it kind of like the chosen one Jesus situation?
I'm not totally sure. I thought it was just kind of a side effect of him waking up in the middle of
the tuning,
the implant process. Yeah.
Sure. I'd buy that.
Which they say is like a fluke,
I mean, you said it earlier, but this was a huge hit for you, huh?
Yeah. I just like the world they create, the design of it, the combination of familiar noir tropes. It's kind of like the B plot of like the detective after him and stuff it looks so good, and the actors are so great that it's like that stuff's entertaining on its own, but there's this much larger sci-fi experience happening on top of all that.
I wouldn't say dragging my feet in terms of watching this, but I was a little like, okay, I don't remember it being super great. I remember being kind of slow. And the minute I turned it on, I saw the supporting cast, and the movie's not slow in any way. And about an hour in, I was like, this movie is pretty great, and it feels like I've been watching it for 20 minutes. And I looked at the timestamp and was like, oh, wow, I'm an hour into this 2-hour movie. I'm really excited to see where it goes from here.
It was not a big hit. It came out in 98. They kept pushing the release date because Titanic was like all anybody was talking about or thinking about. And eventually it came out in February. And according to Wikipedia, it made $27.2 million against a budget of $27 million. So kind of broke even, wasn't, a hit. But over time has really gained a cult following. Roger Ebert was a huge proponent of this movie.
Yeah.
Gave it a great review, and it's in his great movies books, and he would teach it at, I think, the University of Chicago, like every year or once in a while, they said. I think he does like shot by shot breakdowns of movies, and just really stood up for it. And that really helped launch it into the cult status.
I mean, this is like akin to the early John Carpenter stuff, like something like The Thing, where it comes out, it is kind of misunderstood in the first couple of years that it's out. It doesn't really generate any income. And then a bunch of film nerds get together and they start talking about it. It gains more notoriety. A director's cut eventually comes out of Dark City, and then it really shoots into the cult stratosphere. I mean, I remember being in college and people talking about this movie all the time. I remember seeing advertisements for this movie in the back of comic books. I remember the poster, like seeing it at bus stops and stuff like that, but not knowing anything about it. And I don't think I watched it till I was a senior in college. I had very little memory of this movie. Was this a title that you were like sitting around waiting for?
No, but I jumped on it right away.
Sure.
Partly because I know Kim likes it so much, and that had made me want to really revisit it. And obviously I knew that this would be the way to do it. And I liked revisiting The Crow so much, which Alex Proyas did before this, that came out on 4K last year.
But according to this documentary that's on this Arrow release that Kurt and I both watched, this is a script that he had written back in like 91.
Right. And had a really hard time getting financed.
Yeah.
The script changed a lot, I think, since it was originally floating around back then. They brought in David Goyer, who people would know from co-writing Batman Begins, Blade.
Blade 3.
To kind of commercialize it somewhat, but yeah, it was not easy to make and something that he was trying to do for a long time, Proyas. But like a good example of a movie that really found its footing on physical media over the years.
Without a doubt. If all we were ever subjected to was the theatrical cut, this movie would not have the grandstanding that it does now. This is like a big cult movie. I mean, again, there's a reason why the limited edition sold out within a month and a half.
Exactly, yeah. This feels like it's the version, you know? Like it looks unbelievable.
Got a bunch of special features, a bunch of new special features too. This documentary that Kurt and I have referred to a couple of times, brand new 2025, made by Arrow for this release. There's a couple visual essays which were made in 2025 for this release. And it also contains a 4K of both the director's cut, which we have watched, and the theatrical cut, which I have yet to watch.
I'm curious, I guess, what they've left out. Obviously, the voiceover is not appealing.
It's about a 10-minute difference, too.
That's cool. This definitely felt, it was just right, you know? Sometimes you watch a director's cut and you're like, oh, I bet that wasn't in the original. This, I wasn't noticing anything like that.
In the documentary, Rufus Sewell, who plays John Murdoch, he says, if you watch the director's cut of this movie, that is pretty much the script that was handed to me that I wanted to make, which is cool, which is really great.
One time, our friend Daniel was in town and we were on our way to LAX. I was taking him home and we had breakfast on the way, and somewhere in Beverly Hills, actually, Kings Road.
Yep.
You know, Kings Road. We're sitting there outside and people walking like in and out of the cafe were to my back. Daniel could see them and he was like, oh shit, dude. He was like, dude, Joaquin Phoenix just walked by. I was like, oh shit, Joaquin Phoenix just walked by. I was like, wait a second. I just saw a picture of him filming. I was like, maybe the Joker or something. Like I like knew that he was like in New York filming the Joker because I'd seen it like the day before on Instagram. I was like, I don't know, man. I think he's filming a movie somewhere. And Daniel was like, oh, okay. You know what? You know who it was? I think it was Javier Bardem, dude. And I was like, whoa, Javier Bardem just walked by. And it was a similar thing where I was like, I think they're shooting Dune right now or something. I was like, I'm pretty sure he's in like Budapest. Daniel was like, I don't know, man. Somebody. It was somebody. And then it was driving me insane. And I dropped him off and I started Googling like actors who look like Joaquin Phoenix. I sent him a picture of Rufus Sewell. I was like, was it this guy? And he was like, oh shit. So I've been close to Rufus Sewell, you know.
What did you know him from?
A Knight's Tale.
Yeah. The minute this started, I paused it because I was like, I cannot place where I know this guy from. And I'm pretty sure it's A Knight's Tale.
Definitely.
He's really good in this movie, though.
He's fantastic.
I don't know why he hasn't had a bigger career. He was great in this. He's the lead. He is good at playing disheveled guy wandering city.
Yeah, confused guy.
Yeah.
Sympathetic, confused guy who you hope is not a serial killer.
Let me ask a general question. If you had to guess off the top of your head, how many movies have either an A or B plot where sex workers in a town keep winding up dead?
Too many. Too many.
My guess is 612.
Yeah. There's a couple scenes where he spends time with a sex worker who's played by, he's basically trying to convince himself that once he's alone with someone, he's not going to kill them because he's not sure if he killed this person that he wakes up next to, you know. He's testing his own limits. Yeah. And she is played by Melissa George, who is in 30 Days of Night and great on The Treatment, HBO's The Treatment. This is probably the earliest thing I've ever seen her in, so I was excited to see her. Without a doubt. Also, did you buy Triangle from... Oh yeah, she's in that. Umbrella? She's in that. I haven't watched that yet. Dude, Triangle's tight. Sold. Already sold. Dude, Triangle might be terrible, but it's probably tight. One of the other great things about this transfer especially, but this movie is, you know, we talked a lot about the design, but the miniature work is so good in this. Oh my God. I can't believe we haven't brought it up till now. There's just the model work of the city. It's awesome. The intro is so great because it's the camera panning down a building, which you can kind of tell is a miniature, but it keeps going further and further and further down before we get to John Murdoch awaking in the bathtub. So you really feel like you are in the depths. It's like if you've been to Chicago and been on Lower Wacker and then like dropped it 40 stories past that. You just feel like you're in the depths of a city that's churning and moving and alive, and it's kind of wet and green. I mean, we also haven't even highlighted how close this and The Matrix are. Absolutely, yeah. Which came just the next year. Yeah, about a kind of solo Jesus-like figure waking up in a world where everyone is asleep. And the set, I mean, a lot of it is miniature work, and you can tell, but it's so charming, and like the craftsmanship of everything. You mentioned that shot where it's going down in the city. There's like little bridges and stuff in the background where they're just moving around tiny little lights to like be cars and stuff. It just looks so tactile and engrossing. But they also built a city on a soundstage for this, which reminded me a lot of like the Batman Begins style,
Oh, without a doubt. Yeah.
Speaking of David Goyer, it has a real Batman Begins look to it. They're shooting it in Sydney, Australia in probably 97. And they talk about how it was very similar thematically to the movie, where they'd be in this bright beach town, but trapped inside this dark, cavernous, fake city.
Yeah.
But they talk about like you could go for a walk in this city and walk for a couple blocks, without really any indications that you're on a set. It was that vast.
Yeah, there's this incredible part towards like maybe the hour mark in the movie where they're in the city, but they're trying to get to Shell Beach, and they are down a corridor that's been flooded. So they're in like a boat and they're pushing through it. Mm-hmm. And in the documentary, they talked about how they didn't have enough money to build another set. So they just flooded part of the set that they had already built.
Yeah.
And so Alex, the director, he mentions, he's like, if you pay close attention, you see the same building in this movie about 10 times.
Yeah.
Because we just kept having to shoot on these same sets. But it doesn't feel like that. The city feels very big and lived in and industrial and scary, but not repetitive, other than repetitive in its own kind of ugliness.
Yeah, it's lack of personality.
Yeah.
Another amazing box from them.
From Arrow?
Yeah, the package.
Yeah.
Like, just killer. Absolutely killer.
Arrow started doing, like, the slip sleeve over the bigger cases.
Yep.
And while I was opening my copy of Dark City, which I had literally just found out was out of print, I was taking the plastic off of the case, and I tore the slip sleeve like a tiny little tear in it. But I was sitting there looking at it, and I was like, if this wasn't on here, this wouldn't have happened.
It's like they added it. You never wanted him to add it, but then you damaged it, and now...
Exactly.
Yeah.
And now I'm going to have every time... I was watching the documentary about the movie today, and I was like, I can't believe there's a tear in that.
Dude. I hear you.
Oh, my God.
I can't tell you the shit that I do in my regular life that I'm quietly thinking about some ding or dent in a slip sleeve.
Yeah.
Like mid-vow at my wedding, I'm thinking about...
We are not okay. We are not doing okay.
We talked about it on Roadhouse, but I sort of love this thing that Arrow seems to be doing, where they like include a tiny little prop.
Yes.
Like a replica of a prop from the movie.
Yes.
So Roadhouse came with a coaster from the Double Deuce. There's several close-ups in this movie of Kiefer Sutherland's character's business card, like his doctor business card. And it comes with that. It comes with a little business card.
It's so good. It's one of those things that basically costs them nothing to produce these to put in the limited editions, but that is something that won't be in the non-limited edition.
And it brings such joy to 40-year-olds like us all across this great land.
Yes. I'm like, am I framing a Double Deuce coaster? It's another grand slam from Arrow, in my opinion. The disc looks great. It's loaded with special features. It's loaded with little knickknacks. There's a poster.
It's probably in my top 5 of the year, I'd say.
Releases, wow.
Yeah. I'm just like, yep, nailed it.
Yeah. I mean, I was really surprised with how good it looked versus what my memory of this movie is.
Yeah, it's like stunning, the cinematography in this and the design. Incredible packaging, incredible choice to put it out, perfect studio to put it out, and caused me to revisit and rediscover something that I was kind of like, yeah, Dark City. I know people like that. Yeah. To now being like, oh shit, yeah, that's like a lost classic from the 90s.
Yeah. If you like The Matrix and you have not seen this, I would highly recommend it. If you like sci-fi noir and you've not seen this, I would highly recommend it. This Arrow version is great. It's probably the best version you're ever going to get of this.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't say go out and pay whatever absurd prices this is going for on eBay, but if there's one in your town and you are interested, I highly recommend it.
Okay, Sam, before we go, it's time to put wishes out into the physical media universe for titles on formats that do not yet exist.
I wish for an Arrow Video big box 4K of 2009's Knowing with Nicolas Cage.
I wish for a 4K release of Apple's F1.
So I take it you've seen this
I have seen this
at Universal City Walk.
at Universal City Walk IMAX.
Okay.
I know you haven't seen it yet, Sam, so I won't divulge too much, but it's a movie I liked. A movie that would be really, really fun to see on 4K. It was amazing in the IMAX. Not a perfect movie in my opinion, but a very fun one, and just a zoom, vroom, vroom, bang, bang, shiny shit flying around would look and sound amazing.
I'm sure also that you could get some great behind the scenes stuff on the stunts.
Oh, yeah.
Everything else in the movie.
Yeah, absolutely. And maybe someone could explain to me how F1 works on the behind the scenes. And I might have a little more fun with it. But speaking of Ebert giving 4 stars to a movie and championing something. Oh my God, is it Alex Proyas?
Yes.
Oh,
this is why I wished for this.
Yeah.
I've never seen 2009's Knowing, but it came up on the Snake Eyes episode with Emma from Murder by Death.
Right.
And we all talked about it. I think Emma said it was good. You told me that Ebert gave it 4 stars, and I just looked it up.
I think Kim said she liked it too.
Oh yeah, she did. I think you might be right about that.
I might be putting words in her mouth. Kim's probably watching Knowing right now.
This is Kim's favorite movie. She just texted me. This is Alex Proyas, the same director as Dark City.
Dog, it's on 4K.
I know, but I want an Arrow big box of it.
Oh no.
Are we doing fucking Knowing tomorrow? So anyway, is Knowing tight? I guess we're about to find out when we both buy this movie at the end of this episode.
Let me just paint a scenario for you, okay?
Okay.
You're hoping, wishing for Arrow's big box set.
Mm-hmm.
Hard cut to a future where that never happened, and this Lionsgate edition is out of print. Do you want to live in that world? Do you want to take that risk?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
We gotta do this right now.
We gotta fucking buy this movie.
Are we gonna have Emma back on for it?
Dude, yeah. Call her up.
We gotta get that, and then whatever that like Red Dog movie that Paul Schrader wrote that she was talking about.
Jesus. Our series finale.
Oh man.
But yeah, right there with you. I'm not sure I can wait for the Arrow, Sam, but I'm really glad you reminded me of this movie and that there is a 4K.
All right. I'm going to search Portland for this 4K today.
I'm going down to Amoeba right now and looking for your Uncle Buck slip sleeve and 2 copies of Knowing. The only 2 copies of Knowing on 4K that ever got printed.
Oh, hell yeah. Sign us up.
Okay, that is it for another episode of Physical Therapy. A big thank you to Patrick Laban, as always, for our music. To Kimberly for being our producer from afar. She will be back.
We can't wait, Kim.
And we will be back.
Yeah, what are we bringing back?
Yeah, we got a special episode coming up for you.
Yeah.
Our returning champion to the podcast, Drew Hanks, will be here to talk about not 1, but 2 recent 4K releases of Chris Farley movies.
Ooh, couple of Farleys.
Tommy Boy, which came out from Paramount, and Kino Lorber's release of Black Sheep.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited for both of these.
Yes, absolutely, Sam. Me too. And we will be back next week with that.
We will see you then. As always, please give us a shout out on Instagram, give us a follow, and we're going to keep doing what we're doing, which is buying too many stupid movies.